Hello, my name is Tom Stiles, and this is Tom's Radio Room show number 156. And today I'm going to answer a question that a couple of people have had based on some of my recent videos. And that is, I've mentioned the term international broadcast meter bands. And people are confused exactly what I mean. Now, of course, you could do a search on Google and you'd get a very elaborate answer, much better than I could, but then I couldn't do the show. So I'm going to tell you my limited knowledge of what I mean by meter bands. The international broadcasting bands have been broken down into the shortwave spectrum, into segments of that spectrum, and for some reason, I don't know the history, again you can Google it, they designate it as being in meters instead of frequency, and it's actually a band, so it's a set of frequencies, like a dozen frequencies throughout the shortwave band, which is approximately 1.7 megahertz to 30 megahertz. So I've kind of prepared a chart here to give you an idea what that means and how it breaks down. Hopefully you can see it, and I'm going to talk from it. So here is my little chart on the international broadcast shortwave bands in meters. And over here, this is the band in meters, and then what frequency that is, each of those bands. And then I'm going to attempt to give you some indication of when the best time to listen to those bands are. Now, keeping in mind this is in North America, so it's going to vary, and it's basically based on the time of day. Of course, there are other conditions that can change that. Weather conditions, cloud, stratosphere, what's going on up there, sunspots. So you've got a lot of variables. So here's my attempt. Right or wrong, hopefully it's a bit of information. And I gathered this from some of the books that I've reviewed. I pulled this information out of that and off the internet. So, as one person says, why are you presenting information that people can get elsewhere? Well, I'm just kind of trying to focus it and provide it to you so you don't have to do the homework. That's why. Does that work? Okay. So, start at the top here, which is the 120 meter band. Now notice, whoops, wrong hand. Notice it goes down in meters as it goes up in frequency. And if you do the math, that's why it works out. Okay? Okay, 120 meters is 2.3 to 2.49 megahertz. So that's a 120 meter band. And if it's good at all, it's good late night, early morning. Usually, typically for shortwave, not much down there. Okay, the next one is 90 meters, which is 3.2 to 3.4, again late night, morning. 75 meters, 3.9 to 4.0, 60 meters, 4.75 to 5.06. I don't know where they get these numbers. Must have something to do with it. Maybe it's probably some fancy formula or even a simple formula. And we go down to 60 meters, and I'm just going to kind of hold this up, hopefully steady, and you can just freeze the playback and look at it. And you'll notice about 41 meters it starts being good reception during the daytime and then into the night up until about 16 meters, which is strictly night to 11 meters, and then it wraps back around, late night, morning, daytime, night. That's kind of how it goes. Now, take my pen here, and I'll mark up my pretty chart, and I'll show you kind of where to listen. Again, if you're in North America, and it's going to vary depending on where you're at, is about in the late night, early morning, about 70, 75 meters to 49 meters. So right in there. And it's fairly active, around 5 megahertz, fairly active. Then the next chunk is 41 meters to about 22 meters. And that's good for daytime sometimes, not so good in daytime, but sometimes, and good at night. It's good at night. You get a lot of stuff. I'll just give it a star. You get a lot of good stuff around 31 megahertz, plus or minus. But that's an ideal spot, 31 megahertz. Then when you get up to there is one exception here, and that is 19 meters, about 15 megahertz. You can actually get pretty good reception in the late afternoon. But the only real band that you can get pretty good reception late afternoon, depending on the conditions. And then at night, it really drops off here at night at the high frequencies. I would say the cutoff, and I'll draw a line all the way across it, about 16 meters, or up to about 18 megahertz, is about the best you're going to do at night, or even the daytime. When you get up here in those higher frequencies, so from 16 meters or down, 16 meters, 16, 15, 13, and 11, you're just not going to do very good. That's it's really kind of what I call line of sight, or if you have some wave propagation going on, you might get some stuff in there and it might come booming in, but typically it's not going to be there. So really, for shortwave listening, international, these frequencies here in the middle are about the best, and they're usually best sometimes in the day, but definitely at night. And then there's one exception, is the 15 megahertz band can be good during the daytime sometimes. So that's kind of a quick overview of what the meter frequencies are, and I held it up there for a while before I messed it up, and so that you could freeze the frame and copy this down or whatever. I mean, it's available on the internet, you know. Just, I guess the best thing to do is do a sort for international broadcast shortwave bands, and you should find some information. And you'll probably find information like what I was trying to convey to you, of which bands are the better bands to listen to for international shortwave broadcasts. So anyway, that's the show for today. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments, please leave comments. Although, you know, YouTube and Google Plus are playing games with maybe games is not the right word, but they're changing things on how comments are posted. And I've run into one problem myself, is being a YouTube broadcaster, I'll call it. When I get new subscriptions, I like to leave whoever subscribed to my channel a personal comment on their page. Now that doesn't mean that they have videos. That just means they have a registered account and therefore they've been able to subscribe. And so I try to leave them a comment. Well, it turns out this week YouTube has changed how you can do that, and they want you to link your YouTube ID, mine is Hammerhead88, to your Google Plus ID before you can leave a comment, and then you can leave a comment under their page, which is called discussions. Does that make sense? It used to be called comments, now it's called discussions. So I was able to do that and tell people thank you and appreciate you subscribing and all that stuff. I can't do it now without changing and linking my YouTube account to my Google account. Now I tried that, and when I did that, I lost all my subscriptions under YouTube. They just disappeared, and then I was under my G Plus account, which I have no YouTube subscriptions under. Hope that makes sense. It doesn't make sense to me. That's the problem. So the bottom line is, I'm just going to have to say thank you for subscribing. Right now I can't figure out how to easily do what I used to do, which is send a personal comment called discussion to a person who subscribes. Can't do that anymore easily. If anybody out there can help me straighten that out, I'd appreciate it. But anyway, that's what's happening. And so I want to, all the people this past week that have subscribed, because that's when it stopped working, I wasn't able to send you a thank you note via that method anymore. So I'm just going to send you a general thank you note for everybody that subscribed to my YouTube channel this week. And if you haven't, that's okay. Please do, even though I can't send you the nice comment I like to send people. Please subscribe anyway to my channel. That'd be great. Now, I also read where they're going to play some games with the comments that you make to a YouTube video. And that can mess things up too. We will see. So, I don't know if this is progress or not. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Jeez. Why do you have to break something that ain't broken?